Soccer has arrived in Charlotte. We are ready to party.
They're classy too, man. I can wear this on a date.
People who are most successful are the ones who don't just give up.
Hey, how good are these to-go boxes?
Our to-go boxes, they're not good. They're f***ing amazing. How did we get started here at Albemarle Paper? Well, late 2008, my cousin John and I started this paper company, and we got all sorts of different products.
Hey, Nick, come on, man. Let's get to work.
You got cleaning products, too? You got a party this weekend? We got your back. Anything you need here at APS. Plates, napkins, silverware, table covers. We got everything covered, right, boys? What other items do we carry? Paper towels? I got it. Toilet paper? I got it. Gloves? We got you. Pizza boxes? You're probably wondering, where are we? Where's Albemarle Paper? Don't you worry about that. We got you. I'll bring the products to your front door. See you guys.
For the crown. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MLS Corner, the best corner in all of MLS. Yo, I am enjoying these last couple of weeks. We are coming on here after dub after dub after dub. And you know what? This weekend was, I feel like every win that we get gets even better. You know, we grind out a result against New York City FC and sweep them. We come back from a 2-0 deficit against Chicago Fire, eliminate them off of playoffs. Then we freaking annihilate, destroy, dismantle, humiliate Philadelphia Union at home with a poker from Daniel Rios. Over 43,000 people this weekend. No rains, all NFL lines from the 40 to the 30 to the 20 to the 10. We scored. What a weekend, boys. I was so excited. What a win. It's very, very hard to say, you know what, this was the best night at the bank, because every weekend now, especially after wins like that, feel like a special night at the bank. My man Brian, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic. 4-0 result, and shout out to the Yeti clan for hooking us up with the Yeti signs. They're always so hyped to see Danny Rios score, and we talk about it every time. And then they went up, put up a 4 spot. I mean, I was happy for the team, happy for them, happy for the fans. It was a great day.
Nice. Yes, sir. Danielle saw it. That message, you know, it's exciting. Like Charlotte FCs resurrection to the playoffs, Messi's resurrection back to Barcelona. That's a conversation for another day, but you know what? It's been a happy, exciting day, and I do want to shout out the Yeti clan as well. Love you, boys. I love the Latanzio in banner that you had, because, like we said, you know, I think he's the right guy to steer the ship. Lee, my man, how are you tonight?
Tonight, I'm all right. All day, just hearing you go on about Messi and all this other stuff, man. I swear to God, I was just about to cut my phone off, man, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And shout out to Christian Mendoza, man. He bet on us beating Philly, man, and had a pretty penny return.
Bro,
yeah, this is the guy that keeps
bro. This guy's making money left and right.
Yeah, he's pimping, man. He's pimping. But yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks. As long as I don't hear any more about Messi until tomorrow. Jesus.
Listen, the only thing that's messy right now is the rules and regulations for our game against Columbus, and we'll definitely get into that in a little bit. You know, so I mean, I love it. The chat is popping tonight. Everybody's excited, man.
For sure.
We have the war rob today, but that's for another. All right, what are you guys doing, Jonathan? Nice. So let's get started. Let's talk about this win. We'll start off with a quick video just to remind you guys what an amazing weekend we had. Yeah. Here we go. Number 1 by Daniel Rios from a Yasbiak assist. We love to see it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that supporter. Come on. Second goal. Boom.
You gotta be too good. You gotta be too good.
That's good. Boom. Number 3 for Mr. Rios. Philadelphia Union go down. I absolutely love the scenes when they score a goal. And 4-0, the Poker, the man himself, the Mexican striker, Daniel Rios. A night who
Tottenham got put in a split. Philly got put in a split. You know, troops go like something.
Troops in the house. And a little kiss from Adam to end it. What can I say, guys? What a great night. You know, like, Lima, man, what's wrong?
I know exactly what you did, man. I know exactly why you put troops on there. This show's on the hell, man. This show is good. I miss a week, man, and everything falls apart, man. I'm the glue that keeps it together.
Yo, everything. And Josh just reminded us, bro. It was so unreal. There was a freaking proposal on your fan cams. By the way, if you haven't watched the fan cams, this is a good plug-in right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Today, it's on our YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about this win as well, man. What went well for Charlotte FC? And I'll start off with you, Lee.
Pretty much everything. You know, we were saying before the show, right? Rios he's been kind of crucial for us all season, right? I mean, I know there's that Andre debate, Rios debate, Carroll debate, but at the end of the day, Rios has been there all season for us, and he's been putting them in and got us a couple of wins. I think Brian threw a stat out there. I think he's only had 6 goals. Was it, Brian, you said, for the season, but then 8, including the cup games as well. So, I mean, he's been there when he needed to. Some things I saw, though, on Facebook, anywhere, right, on the socials, was that, you know, that he was lucky to score forward. Like his one goal where it went through the player's legs, he should have placed it in the other corner. And he's not. And my thing is, a goal scorer is going to score goals, right? It doesn't matter how it goes in. Like, I mean, he had a header, a penalty, like, you know, a tap in, and then the one where he put it through some defenders, man. So, yeah, I think Rios is.
That's the whole reason why you drop Swiderski to the 10 and have a natural striker in that position to score the goals, to be the poacher.
But that's it.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like people on Facebook, especially on Facebook, just find a reason to complain.
So
bro.
toxic,
You won 4-0.
Yeah, it's a pretty cold take.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, a goal scorer is going to be in position to score a goal, and that's exactly what he did this weekend. And then, you know, Jaws stepped up too, man. I think he needs some credit this week. I know we've been kind of riding his ass a little bit, right? But I mean, 2 assists, if I remember correctly, and I mean, he ran hard for most of the game as well. So, you know, and then there's always, you know, Jones, of course, and the regular guys, right? And Malanda continues to be Malanda, man. Yeah. So, and even our goalkeeper had to swap right there at the beginning of the game. I mean, not like he had too much work to do, but when he was called on, he did what he had to do, right? So. Yeah,
100%.
And we're undefeated with the Lions on the field, so we're actually got to GoFundMe. Yeah, we got to GoFundMe for the Panther Stadium, right, to get the Lions back on there, so Tepper doesn't have it come out of his pocket.
I think we won. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've won more games with NFL lines than the Panthers have, haven't we?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah. So sell those PSL tickets.
Not like for shade at the
yeah. Right, sell those PSLs over at the NFL and then come buy them over there at the Charlotte FC side. You're gonna have a lot more bang for your buck, apparently.
Nice. Brian, talk to us, man. Yeah, what went well at this game? And I want to hear from everyone in the comment section as well. What do you guys think went so well?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me that stood out was that, like, our playmakers that weren't Karol Swiderski made plays. So, like, I mean, I actually think for me that Karol definitely, like, showed Paxton Aronson that, like, he was U20 and Karol is national team, right? Like, he showed that difference and a play with his moves. But overall, I think there was definitely a few times when Karol kind of missed missed the pass, and our buildup at times was actually kind of sloppy. But when the ball was in the final third, whether it was Uzviak, whether it was Rios getting the ball in the box, like there was so many different people. Gaines made the run. Santos made a brilliant pass on the fourth goal to get Gaines in on to make a nice cross to Rios on the fourth one. Like so many people were involved in making plays that led to goals. And I think the fact that it didn't have to be Carroll constantly heading that attack all the time is a big progression of the team, because ideally we don't have to always just depend on Carroll. Yes, he's the DP. Yes, right now he's the biggest signing in club history. But like ideally, as a squad, we have an attacking four, right? And so within the four of them, they can all chip in and play a role and be have key moments in the game that can win us those games. And I think that's what we saw this weekend was a team that were
great team effort, man. It was a great team effort.
Yeah. It's really interesting too. I think that dip that Charlotte had between Miami and I want to say Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Especially Miami, one of the things that I complained about this team was they looked like lethargic and very tired.
Yeah.
And I think that slightly has to do with the raised level of intensity that they play now, or they train with under Lattanzio, right?
Yep.
But I mean, it's paying fruits. It's just taking a while to pay fruits. You saw it in this game. I mean, we played a very physical, aggressive team, and I mean, we had more intensity than them, and we had that physicality. We matched them. If not, we did it better. And I think that is a big testament, because this is the best team to do it, right?
Yeah.
And we were all over them. So I think that's something that's really important to highlight specifically about this game. And I think too, man, even the subs that came in, I mean, Nuno came in, that brilliant chip he had for Gaines, where Gaines assisted Rios for his fourth goal. I think Jordi Alcivar came in and he played well as well. So, I mean, it just goes to show you that, like, this team really, really wants it. And you know what? As I said, I got a chance to be on MLS Spaces Friday, and I stick to this, man. To me, this has been already a successful season, given all the circumstances that we've had to go through in this inaugural season. I mean, I guess you can't be a Queen City without drama, right? We're still two games to go, and we still have an opportunity to make playoffs. To me, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lattanzio won a lot of people over this weekend, just based on like kind of the reaction I was getting from people in the crowd, what people were even like coming up and telling me, and things like that throughout the course of the game. I think Lattanzio finally like crossed that barrier a bit, where he's actually started to win a decent amount of the fan base over. Like the last time when I wrote that article about like why Lattanzio should continue to be the manager, and we put a pull out. It was like 57-43, right? 57 were against it, 43. I would be interested to see what that pull is now. I feel like that this game alone won a decent amount of people over.
100%. Nice. And then, I mean, we have, like I mentioned earlier, 3 wins off the bounce. And I want to hear from everybody in the comments section as well. What do you guys think have been some key things for Charlotte FC's resurrection from, I mean, the dead pretty much, after, I think it was Cincinnati. I mean, in my opinion, it's still very difficult to make playoffs, but it's more and more possible now. You know what I'm saying? Like we're really, really in it now. Like, like prior to the Philly game, I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, now I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm more like 40-60 now. Then I was like 10-90.
Well, I mean, it's a big night and day, right? From when we were 2 up against Miami and we lost, right, to when we were 2 down at Chicago and came back. I think that Chicago win definitely is sort of like kickstart something, right? I mean, you could tell the guys were a little pissed off after the Cincinnati game. I mean, I feel like Cincinnati was kind of lucky, to be honest with you, but that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, I think that's that. And then obviously sweeping New York, we swept the current champions, right? And then to spank the current lead leaguers, at least on the east side, right, 4-0, and to upset them with the Supporter Shield and give that to LA. I mean, we've come in and upset, right? And yeah, like I said, man, Brian, you and I have talked about this many times in person and over, text messages. It's going to come down to this Columbus game, man. And I'm so excited for tomorrow, dude.
Yeah, me too, man. It is going to be an electrifying game. And I think everybody here in the comment section's hitting it. Like Jonathan is right. I mean, having Malanda in the back,
Yeah.
as our
But that's a valid point too, right?
Playing Carroll at the 10, the rise of Derek Jones. I mean, all three of the signings that we've had, in my opinion, have been spot on. I mean, in that first half, that tackle that Byrne made, was very crucial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Nuno coming in and contributing as well. Malanda has been excellent. So that
just slotted right in from day one, and just
we haven't had to miss Corujo as much having him, which is great. I can't wait.
When you think about it, like when Malanda started playing, we sort of turned that tide, right?
100%. And then I also think it's the mental resilience of this team too, man. I mean, we figured out a way to grind that out against New York City FC. We figured out a way to come back from a 2-0 halftime score. A goal gets taken away from you as well, right? And we still find a way to win 3-2. And then we freaking sweep Philadelphia Union this weekend. I mean, Brian, what else do you want to add to that?
Yeah. I feel like there's like 2 or 3 major factors that kind of like have led to this streak. I think one is, and you touched on it earlier, Jorge, about sort of like the intensity in training and them kind of like losing their legs during that stretch of games. I kind of associate that with like almost like when Lattanzia took over, they had a new preseason, right? Except the fact that preseason was happening in the middle of the season. And then that bit of games was sort of like they were in the beginning of the season, getting their legs under them. But the problem is the rest of the MLS is already in peak condition. And so they're catching up to that, which is where they're at now, right? We're hitting a stride where everybody seems to really be peaking. And then on top of that, we've got 3 new signings who have come in and all hit the ground running, which I think Malanda specifically is just it's incredible that such a young kid is being so composed in a new league, in a new country this fast. That's pretty extraordinary. Oftentimes it can take 6 to 8 months for an international to really adjust, right? We're seeing that with players like Jordi Alcivar and Camille Józwiak, right? It doesn't like the international move. It's not an easy move to make, especially for the first time as a young kid. And so the way he is slotted right in is just absolutely incredible. I think also Byrne and Santos have also come right in. And then, I'm going to shout out Jones for sure. I just shameless plug, published an article today on it, but I think
Jones, by the way, tweeted it as well. So
yeah, that got me extremely excited. I tried to refrain from just tweet fanboying throughout the day.
You should just reply back with "Bam."
Yeah. But I think he's been absolutely incredible and kind of under the radar for some, and just the variety and the many ways he has helped produce in the midfield for the team, not just as a destroyer.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, we really just came back from the dead, bro. Honestly, nobody expected us to get. I didn't expect us.
I did. I've been calling it the whole time.
Sure.
I said I'd come down to the Columbus game, man.
3 wins on the back. You did say that. I'll give you that.
I've been saying that since the Columbus game got canceled, right? I said, seriously, this is going to be the game that's going to be the most crucial for us this season.
Yeah. And then before we get into Columbus as well, I did want to talk a little bit about the news that we kind of pushed last week. We got wind. Big thanks to our man right here, Lee from CLTFC Fan TV, who's gonna eventually just take over our scoops. It looks like. We found out that Lattanzio the club is very close to signing a 3-year deal for Lattanzio. Obviously, I went on MLS Spaces and talked about it, and I kind of gave my reasons why I think it makes sense that they're wanting to sign this. But I kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts as well, and people in the comment section. I think, like you said earlier, Brian, that 60-40 is probably 50-50 now, especially after seeing a convincing win that we've had this weekend. Mind you, in my opinion, with the chaoticness of the season, to be here is just spectacular.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many. I mean, I feel like we specifically have been talking about Latanzio for at least a couple of weeks at this point, and just in terms of like I've definitely thought he's the right guy to move forward with, just because getting a new coach and where that could potentially just have to restart the whole team. I think that was one big factor, is just the chance that we were going to find a guy who was more capable or more experienced in MLS even is like, I don't know if that was super likely. And then just his ability to develop guys and just what the players are saying about him, I think is the biggest thing. Like every report, I mean, Jorge, even just this last week, all the guys we interviewed, all were just praising him. Bronico has been praising him.
But it's not even just our players, right? It's been previous players that he's coached, right? From New York to England, Italy, or wherever, right? They've all talked highly of him.
Yep. And then like opposing like Cincinnati fans and analysts and fan analysts are talking about how like Charlotte has played against them. Like there's just opposing fans are talking about how like well organized they seem to be at times and really being able to dominate possession and different things. So it's just there was a lot of factors that really, for me, made it seem like this was the right decision. And at the end of the day, a 3-year contract doesn't necessarily mean he's just going to automatically have 3 years. He does have to produce, right? I mean, Mar was on a 3-year contract, and we saw how long that lasted. So I'm not saying, yeah. So like, it doesn't necessarily guarantee. I mean, obviously, he's going to have to produce within that time frame. But I think that's just 3 years is probably at least I would assume is close to the standard is what you're expecting as a coach signing a contract like that. But I mean, it's definitely worth the shot, I think.
I mean, look at his CV, right? I mean, he's Man City, right? He was there. He was, he's been assistant manager in England. He's just like England national team of all teams, right? And just the only thing that guy's missing on his resume is a head coach, which technically I think he was a head coach for NYFC at some point, right? Like an interim as well, right? But like this guy hits everything we're looking for. He knows the MLS. I mean, look how he's done once he finally got a midfield set up, right? Once those players came in and we can actually field a decent midfield, I feel like that has a lot to do with the run we're on too, right? I mean, the players and just the development, Gaines, Bronico, Jones, right? All these players have stepped up another level, in my opinion. And I mean, who's been there, right? It's been Latanzio. I mean, I don't see that it would be stupid not to give this guy a chance.
100%. I agree. I mean,
who are we going to get otherwise, man? I mean,
that's my next thing too. Like, I mean, like, who fits kind of these boxes that the club is looking to check? That tactically plays the way they want to play, that has experience developing players, youth players as well, understands the MLS. I mean, all these things are very important, right? Like, to me, it takes a significant upgrade to want a different guy. And you threw Latanzio pretty much in a turmoil. And in my opinion, you gave him a worse squad than what Miguel had, right? And you got the signings in to him very, very late. And still, somehow, we're still right there,
2 games, man. 2 games to go.
Exactly. So,
yeah, I mean, I think he just checks out it would be stupid not to give it. So, Zorn, I know you're watching, man. Just go ahead and announce it. We can get the club social to go ahead and get that drawn up after tomorrow night's game. Yeah. Bam, drop it.
Nice. All right, we'll answer a couple of questions before we get into Columbus. Update on Super Kalina. So Latanzio did a presser today, and he said that he was training today. So there's a good possibility that we see him start against Columbus tomorrow, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know, but he said he saw them and he trained really, really well. Let's see. Is there anything updates on Swiderski possibly transferring? So that news that came out last week is more, in my opinion, his agent prepping and getting more eyes on him because he's in such great form right now and the World Cup's coming up. And it's pretty much, if he just continues how he is, which there's potentially more than 2 games, Swiderski's going to be the guy that partners Robert Lewandowski in for that Poland national team in the World Cup. And I think what he's doing is, hey, like, look at my guy. And if he scores a couple of goals, like, the club's going to have a whole bunch of teams knocking at their door. So I think it's more of that. It's more his agent trying to stir something up. I think that 15 million mark that they mentioned may have been something to the club may have been like, okay, like this would as kind of a precautionary, like, hey, this is a ridiculous number that we'll throw out there that somebody could potentially meet.
It would be insane if he got that number. I mean, Tati, they wouldn't give Tati that number.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was that New York City's asking price, and they couldn't get. That's why he's on loan in Europe right now at Girona, right? Because he couldn't get the 15 mil, or New York City couldn't get the 15 mil they were asking for. And I also think, I mean, obviously this could change, but Zoran, I think it was today, made it pretty clear his take on Swiderski right now. I mean, he said it was on Will's show, right? He's like, he's our captain and he's staying for the winter, which it's a non-factor. And so it really seemed like, I mean,
untouchable or something, right? Didn't he say he was untouchable?
Yeah, it was like untouched. It was like absolutely. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, what else is he gonna say, bro?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's on the spot.
I don't want to speculate.
Tepper, we got a 20 million bid for Carroll, man. We're keeping him, man. Tepper would be like, no, we can go get 2 now.
Yeah.
Nice. Rio's contract status. So Rio's contract, that's a very interesting one because I think it's up at the end of the season.
I think you're right.
And so what it's looking like too, which is very interesting, right? There's gonna be if Charlotte sign an attacking midfielder next season, which it looks like that may be a position that they're going for. Mm-hmm. You'll have Swiderski at the 9 as your number 1 guy. In my opinion, Vinny Mello is going to be second, based off the stuff that we've heard of him and how people rave about him, like comparing him like to the level of what Malanda's doing for us in the defense is what he can bring to the offense, right?
It's going to be a brand new sign-in, right, Mello?
Exactly, yeah, it really is. And then third, I think Andre's going to be kind of that third choice striker. Maybe throw him on the wings every once in a while, depending on who we're playing and what tournament we're in as well. So the Rio situation is very interesting. I want you guys' thoughts because I think it's going to be very difficult to see him actually extend the club.
I mean, obviously, right, it's the Mello who kind of thing was Minty. So, I mean, there's going to be a spot open to be the mascot, right? So maybe Rios could just swap with Mello, man, and just be Minty for a season. I don't know. Just going to throw that out there. That's all I got.
I think it also is going to be interesting when it comes down to the expansion draft because all these players who have options or have expiring contracts are technically still allowed to be on the team. So they might also just be able to wait and bide their time all the way until a few days after the expansion draft and see whether or not like Rios were to get nabbed or something like that. So I'm not really sure, but it might be different because I'm not sure if Rios has an option. I know for players with an option, they're definitely considered to be still on the roster.
Wasn't the re-entry draft after the expansion draft though?
Yeah, and so then you have it's like I can pull up the dates, but so the expansion draft is on like the 11th, and then you have to sign your free agents or your expiring contracts who have options like 3 days after that. And so they're technically still on your roster because then it could still be advantageous for St. Louis to say nab one of those players if they still have an option because they could assume that contract and sign that player to that option. I think is the idea behind that. But I'm not sure if just expiring contracts are on that list.
Here's a hot take. I kind of rate Rios over Andre though.
Okay. That's a very hot take.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, he does your typical 9 things, which are helpful when you have Carroll out there.
Yep.
Right. So, like when Carroll's out there and he's not in the box because he doesn't really it doesn't seem like he really likes to go in the box. Yeah. Whereas Rios, when Rios is out there, he's in the box. For me, Andre plays a little bit more like Swiderski, but like at like a level significantly lower.
Well, and I mean, that's why, you saw like people are complaining that some of his goals are tap-ins. What do you expect? That's the striker, right? That's the reason he's there.
That's there.
Right? That's the style of play. But you know who's not an option and who's always a first choice? Our man Blake from MLS Gone Wild.
And this guy again.
What's up, guys? You actually just caught me taking a selfie to send to my boys that I'm back on the podcast.
Yeah.
Nice, my man. Mr. Blake, how are you feeling, man? You're pretty famous nowadays, man. He said, I can show up to your show, but it'll only be for 30 minutes. I got other places to be, babies to kiss. He said Arsenal won this weekend, so I definitely want to be on there to at least, throw it in Lee's face. How are you, my man?
Man, I'm good. It's good to be an Arsenal fan. It's par for the course to be a Crew fan. It's kind of what we had last year. Same, right? No, but everything's good over here, man. I'm excited for the end of the season. Just got off an interview with Bryce Duke from Inter Miami, who also plays tomorrow night in a very important Florida Derby. Be sure to tune into that one tomorrow. So, yeah, man, things are good. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
True, man. You came right at the time because we're getting ready to talk about your boys, the Columbus Crew, man. You guys came in.
Perfect timing. Imagine that.
It did, yeah, man. You came in kind of like Columbus, man, out of nowhere, bro. 1-0 down. We were all excited. We were like, let's go. And then you guys scored 2 goals at the very, very end, bro. Talk to me how you were feeling after that match.
So I've been telling my friends, like, I'm not going to start watching Crew games. Maybe not tomorrow night. I'm not going to start watching Crew games until after the 80th minute because nothing happens. It's the same old, boring patterns of play, side to side, really slow. But no, this past weekend against the New York Red Bulls was a super important match for the Columbus Crew. This whole year, I mean, we've been dropping points at the end. I believe the exact number, I just wrote it down, 19 points from winning spots this season, which is insane. 19 points, you know where that gets us? 19 points on our 45 is tied with the Philadelphia Union atop of the Eastern Conference. If we don't have...
We're calling it.
What's that? Say it again, Lee.
Prepare yourself to Philly, man. We're coming out 4-0 tomorrow, man. Call it.
I didn't say 4-0. I didn't say 2-1. I haven't given my prediction yet, so wait for the end for that. Because I know Brian was already on Twitter earlier saying 2-1. No, but I mean, it literally 19 points if we were to hold on in the 80th minute or later, or there's other goals that were scored before that. But from winning positions, if we are to hold on, we're on top of the Eastern Conference with one of the best teams in the league. Yes, I know you guys just beat them 4-0, but this past weekend seemed like, a turn of the tide. The luck was finally on our side. And when I say the word luck, maybe it's more so mentality. Maybe it's we pushed even harder after the 80th minute and we weren't willing to concede. We weren't willing to give up possession and sit 11 guys behind the ball. We were still chasing the game because the Columbus Crew and Caleb Porter at this point of the season know it's win or go home. Every team's saying it right now. Every game is a playoff game, especially the teams teetering from 4 and
Orlando, Miami, you guys and us, man.
There's 4 teams. Yeah. And all those teams play tomorrow. It's a huge day tomorrow. And this is a playoff game for all 4 teams.
This is what makes the sport so much fun, right?
And then before we get into the game and talk about tactics and things of that nature, we do want to go over. So this is a rescheduled game, right? So we want to kind of touch a little bit on the rules because this is something that a lot of people have been asking us. We've seen a lot of comments. Who can play? Who can't play? Who will be out? Will any of our new players be able to play? So we kind of made a little chart here to guys let you know. So first and foremost, only the players on the roster from the initial match will be eligible to play for this rescheduled match. 2, the game's going to begin at minute 15:57 with a drop ball. None of Charlotte FC's summer signing in Columbus, to be fair, are eligible to play in this match. Charlotte may sub in injured players, but from the bench only, and it won't count as a sub. If it's a non-injured player, it does count as a sub. Charlotte and Columbus can make up to 5 changes. If for some reason Kalina is not able to play, George Marks would start, and Pablo Cisniega can be the second goalkeeper on the bench. And so just to kind of clear some things up for you guys, this stuff that we got directly from the club as well. And so with that said, that makes it for a very, very interesting lineup that we'll see from Charlotte FC because, this was the lineup that we started against the Crew last game. Obviously, Corujo's out injured. Kalina's a doubt now. right? And so, I mean, Quinn and Ben haven't been playing as prominent roles anymore. It's been Derek Jones at the 6 now. It's been Karol Swiderski being thrown at the 10 with Rios up top as the 9, right? If you take a look at the bench, right, we don't have McCoon anymore. So what does that mean? MLS didn't allow Charlotte FC to replace him. So Jan Sobocinski, our only defender on the bench, is going to have to play this game. So we'll potentially see our bench with 4 or 5 players, very limited squad. We can't use any of our new signings. So this game now becomes it's a very interesting game that we play, a must-win game with, I'd like to say, a couple of little crutches for Charlotte FC side. I don't know if you know the situation or the players that can't play for Columbus Crew, Blake, and if maybe you can inform us of that.
So the only player of note that's not going to be able to come out tomorrow is Jonathan Mensah, who has been our captain for the past couple years. He's been our stalwart at the back. He's been our leader at the back, and he's made the Columbus Crew one of the best defenses this year. We've only conceded 37 goals. I believe that's like top 3, top 4 in the entire league. Despite the position that we're in, our defense has been pretty solid and an improvement from last year. So what we're going to see is Josh Williams slide over to the right center back spot, and then Milos Degenek, the Australian international, who did really well for Australia this last international break and who has played really good minutes, and he's looked really good both distributing and tackling and just winning aerial duels for the Crew. We'll see Milos start probably at that left center back spot. Pedro Santos has been off and on. He did start last game, so we will see Pedro. And then the rest of the 11 will be probably exactly the same. Laporte said that he could make a switch. I don't think that means that he will. I think that that's our best 11 compared to what you guys have right now. It's different, but you guys got to come out with heart, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah, so definitely. So all this to say that, I think this is more detrimental to Charlotte than it is for Columbus.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
In terms of who we have available, what we can do as well. And I think it's really interesting too, because this game got delayed forever. I mean, here. Shout out to your wife, who it was her first MLS game.
Yeah, that was a rough experience. I mean, Charlotte was great. I'm actually gonna have a piece on Top Bin 90 here coming up soon once I finally submit that. Been a little busy, so that'll be really good, just highlighting my trip to Charlotte. But yeah, it was her first MLS game, and it wasn't what she expected, but it was a good trip outside of the soccer experience.
Are you coming down for tomorrow or no?
No, I'm not. She actually just flew out today to go down to Austin for a work conference, so I'm home on doggy duty, unfortunately. So I'll be watching from home.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's probably better that way. I don't want to be watching that stressful of a game in stadium. I can't do it.
There.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too, our stadium, especially recently, too, has been popping. I mean, that against Philadelphia, those players felt it. Our players feel it positively. The other players from the other teams, even Rio said it today as well in an interview. He's like, you know what? Other teams come in here yo, this is a rocking place. And so
to touch on that point, Jorge, just really quick, you guys are the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference based on home points on 30. You guys have a plus 12 goal differential. And when you look at that compared to the Columbus Crew's away form, they've been okay this year. We have 3 wins, 9 draws, and I think 3 ties, something like that, but a -1 goal differential. So you guys definitely do, despite missing some of those midsummer signings, you guys have a home field advantage.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to get to in terms of what can go well for Charlotte. I think that, and I think too is, I think even with all the players that we're missing, I feel like this whole group as a squad is bought into the goal of wanting to make playoffs. And now it's a very realistic possibility. 3 weeks ago, I think they would say they believed. I don't think they believe the same way they believe now. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, to a degree, it's in their hands, right? You win 2 games, right? You need a couple of results to go your way. And this is MLS. Anything can happen, right? And so I guess I'll start off with you, Brian. What do you see in this game that maybe Charlotte can do despite not being able to count on on our new signings and, having a very depleted squad for this game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this game for both teams, because of how must-win it is, it's going to just come down to mentality more than anything else. Like, who is going to come in with the coaches, like the speech pregame that's really going to get the team ready to go, even at a weird time in the 16th minute. I think it also could mean some tactics in terms of like a little bit more going for it, just because there's less time. So you're going to be that first half especially is like 30 minutes. So it's like you could maybe, if you want to go for it a little bit more, you have a little bit more juice in the tank up until halftime to really do that, because you've just got those 30 minutes. I do think so there's like 7 players that haven't started in the last 3 wins that are on the starting lineup for Charlotte. That's just a completely different lineup.
Dang,
and
that's a good stat.
I think they
Very good stat.
I think they need thanks y'all. I think they need
Look how happy he is, man. We're proud of you.
Yeah. And then so I think they need I need to make a change. And I think that change, at least one, I think it's got to be Jones. Just because of how crucial he's been in that midfield. Our midfield has been getting bossed around for the majority of the season. No matter who we've played, we've just kind of gotten in, other teams have been able to impose their will against us. Since Jones has regained the starting position for the last 7 games, it's just a completely different style of play, almost just in terms of our midfield, our buildup. It's just way more composed, way stronger. And I just think that move has to be made outside of the jump, even if that means we have less subs. We're already depleted. We're going to be making less subs, period. There's less options to go with. And it's a must-win game. And he's just been one of our key players over this stretch. There's just no way I don't see him.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you kind of answered that question that we were going to answer from James, and I'll throw it to you, Lee. Would you burn any subs, from the get-go on this game?
Yeah,
Brian,
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Brian said about the subs, man. But the other thought of this is, right?
Just a reminder of all the subs that are available. Take out McCollum, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Jones would be the one I would change, right? And obviously, I guess Jan's going to be starting now, right, since McCune's not there. But, one thing to note here is this is we can't draw this game. We have to win it. If we draw this game, we're out of the playoffs. Yeah. So it's going to be out of the gate, we're going to be coming hard. And to Blake's point, where he mentioned the goals for our home record versus the Crew's away record, right? I mean, if I was Latanzio, man, I would just tell them boys, man, just go for it. Leave everything out there on the pitch. You got 75 minutes to play pretty much, right? It's going to be, 30 minutes the first half, and then it's going to be halftime. Just go out there, run your damn hearts out, man. Don't make any stupid mistakes and try to score quick and more than Columbus, man. Is at the end of the day, because if Columbus draws us tomorrow, they're still in it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what happens with Orlando or that. You guys are still in it, I believe. You got enough points now to where it can go down to decision day. So it's a must win for us. So I just feel man, whatever the lineup, Jones needs to come in. Jan's going to be in the back, and if I was Laddie, I would tell him just go for it, man.
I would definitely. I like what Sean says. I'd burn 2 subs. Yeah. I'd definitely start Jones, and I would definitely start Rios. That way, we can throw Carroll at that.
Who comes off for Rios
though? Let me see.
You just drop McNeil and Bender. You drop the 2 midfielders, and then you have Swiderski back. Jones is in the mid, and then Rios is up top.
Absolutely.
There we go. I would do that 100%.
And all again for the reasons that you just said. I mean, it's a must-win. We've played our best football right now with Swiderski in that free role. Although he wasn't as crucial this last game, right? He still is a player.
He draws that player out, though, right? Somebody has to be marking him for sure.
100%. And so I think, Rios is in form right now, too. So you have a confident Rios that you would start.
Yeah.
You've got a Derek Jones, who's been solid for us at that 6 role. You've got Swiderski, who's been dropped as a 10. And like you guys said, we just have to win this. Honestly, I think 11v11 with our best squad, I think we could beat Columbus. This one, I'm a little bit more concerned just because of who we have at our disposal. But I still think we have a really good chance of winning, right?
Yeah.
Especially what Blake just said. We've got that home field advantage. I think is very, very important. This is a playoff game in Charlotte, North Carolina.
75 minutes left, man, to make or break our season.
Yeah. Blake, what are the keys for Columbus to get something out of this game?
So I touched on you guys having home field advantage. Another fact that we should probably remember is the Columbus Crew are one of 2 teams in all of MLS not to win back-to-back games this season. We haven't done it, and that's a crazy stat considering we played 34 games in a year and we haven't strung together 2 wins in a row. That's really, really bad. The only other team in the league to do that is Atlanta United. On a more positive note, to spin it, we only have 2 losses in our last 20 matches. So we're turning our losses into draws and we're turning our wins into draws. Not a lot of wins, a lot of draws in that span, right? But we're not losing a ton of games. So my keys to the match are pretty simple. Like, you guys know, when I usually come on here, I got analytics and I'm talking about pocket wingers and this, that, and the other. And I really don't have that this time. I think it's more so it's a playoff game. The teams are going to come in. They're going to try to impose their will. Charlotte have to win. It's win or it's over for Charlotte. And that's not a bad thing. I will just go ahead and preface the rest of this discussion with, I think that regardless of how the rest of the season goes down, playoffs or no playoffs, this is a pretty damn successful season for Charlotte FC, considering how the season started with your coach saying you guys are screwed from the jump, a bunch of midsummer turnover and getting rid of players and bringing new guys in. And now you guys in a must-win game can't play those new guys that came in and have made such a difference for you. So all in all, I think Charlotte have done a really good job. And saying that, they have to go for it in this game. Like we said, it's 75 minutes. These guys got to go for it. Okay, if they lose, they go home. So in saying that, with them going for it, I think the Columbus Crew, this is my tactical talk here, the Columbus Crew are going to absorb the pressure. Charlotte under Latanzio like the ball. Columbus Crew are going to absorb the pressure. And we have playmakers that can make the difference on the counterattack. Luis Diaz, Derek Etienne Jr., Lucas Elarion, and Cucho, who missed last game and looked hype after Derek Etienne Jr. scored that game winner. He looked excited for the rest of the season, hype for his team, and hopefully hype for a huge playoff push. So it's going to come down to the team's intensity. Who's going to want it more? Who's going to be, motivated in the locker room? Who's going to be the real leader on the field? Who's going to get in the first big tackle? It's going to be one of those games. It's going to have a playoff vibe. It really is. And I think Charlotte are going to be on the front foot despite missing a lot of guys, because I think the Crew are going to allow them to be on the front foot. And then the game, probably when depending on how the score line is, the state of the game, I think it'll become pretty wide open at some point. And there's going to be chance after chance. Crew are going to go on a counter. Charlotte are going to be pushing forward, and it's going to go back and forth. It's going to be a fun game to watch, man.
It definitely will. I mean, our eyes are definitely going to be on this game, right? And especially at home. I want to ask you too, Blake, what do you make, from what you've seen from Charlotte, what do you make of, you touched a little bit on it, we're a team that likes to possess, but what else have you noticed from Charlotte FC under Latanzio? And, we've gotten word that he's going to sign a 3-year deal with the club. Do you think that's a good thing for Charlotte FC going forward? Would you have not signed him and brought somebody else in, given the situation? I kind of wanted your perspective.
No, I think I absolutely would have signed him to a 3-year deal. I don't know, but I would have absolutely brought him back for another season. He's done a good enough job to earn another contract, to bring some more of his guys in. He was able to make some impact signings in the summer that have come in and have made a difference and will continue to make a difference as the offseason progresses. They get used to the system, get used to their teammates around them. I think that those are good signings. You guys signed a 10, a right back, and Nathan Byrne, and a couple other impact players. Malanda. He was one of my young players of the week this past week against Philly. I looked at his numbers. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the game, but he was really good. So, from a tactical standpoint, Latanzio plays an attractive style of football. You guys keep the ball, play pretty nicely, and he's made some
just with the philosophy that the club has been talking about since the beginning.
Exactly, and playing that style of play, bringing in players that are not only quality but adhere to that style of play. I think those are two things that will go a long way for Latanzio, and he also has MLS coaching experience I believe he was an assistant somewhere in the league. I forget where off the top of my head.
New York. Yeah.
Exactly. And who was he under at that point? Vieira?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a pretty good coach to be under. You see where he's at now. Pretty good tree there. So I think as far as the contract, I think it's smart to bring Lattanzio back. As far as the style of play and the signings, I think they've been great. And like I said a couple minutes ago, like this has been a successful season despite the bed that was almost made for you guys before the season even started, right? And then everybody exiting stage left midsummer, and then you guys have young guys stepping up for you. Like it hasn't been
terrible.
It hasn't been terrible. Like it's been fine. And the fact that you guys are 2 games out of decision day and are still competing, that's a hell of a season.
Yeah.
And we always said, right?
By the way, beating the number 1 team in the East too, right? I mean, like
sweeping the current champions.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things. I think
there's a lot of positives to take from the season.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, exactly. I think even like when the fan base gets mad because they feel like, Charlotte could have done more. In my opinion, I'm like, that's a great thing.
Yeah, they got expectations.
We're not a team where we're just sitting back and just getting pounded and hoping to pounce and take a result here and there and move on to season 2. No, we're going out there and competing. And
look, for perspective, FC Cincinnati, the Columbus Crew's rivals, won the wooden spoon. I don't know if you win the wooden spoon or lose it. I don't know. 3 seasons in a row. Their first 3 seasons in MLS, 3 wooden spoons. You guys in year 1 are competing to make the MLS Cup playoffs with 2 weeks remaining in the season.
Yeah, we always have said, though, as long as we're in around like 9th, 10th at the end of the season, we would be happy with it. I didn't really pitch us to still be in it with 2 games to go, but here we are. So, man, we're bringing the noise tomorrow. We're going to bring it to you, Blake, man.
Yeah, and like there's a lot to take as well. And I think, the culture of Charlotte, I'm kind of upset you didn't get to see the full thing, for 90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Because of the storm. But I think that's also like very, very powerful. I think every player that comes to Charlotte or is a Charlotte FC player notices that. And that's going to be very enticing for year 2, year 3, where you're attracting better players who are like, hey, yeah, like you're coming into an MLS team. But like I even asked this to Nuno Santos this weekend. It's like, were you surprised, coming into MLS and feeling the atmosphere here at the bank? And he said, you know what, I was. And it's a great thing that you can pitch to other players, right? You got an attractive league that continues to grow. But not only that, you have a fan base that you come here and you want to play for, right? And so anything else you want to add to that, Brian?
Yeah, I think also, that's just going to go into what we see. Honestly, I guess this is kind of a little bit future tripping, but what we're going to see in this offseason, I think one of the issues and downfalls we had from this last winter was that a lot of the A targets, like the main targets they had, fell through and they signed their B or C or D targets. And I think a big part of that is because it's Charlotte FC. It's a new expansion club. Nobody knows where Charlotte is. Nobody knows, right? Like nobody knows like what Charlotte FC is, any of those things. They're in a different phase now, right? It's not like, and I keep hearing this comparison of like expansion draft teams recently, like LAFC and Atlanta. I really feel like they're the exception, not the rule. Think about LAFC had like Will Ferrell coming out and doing like introductions at the beginning of the season. It's like completely different.
Well, the MLS is completely different too since they joined.
Yeah, right. Every team is like this offseason has been tons of big signings. The summer window was insane. So many things have happened, but now Charlotte's going to be really they've positioned themselves as an environment that is going to be attractive, and players are coming to it and interested in it, and they're going to be seeing results. Like Carroll's making noise both in Charlotte and in the World Cup, likely, right? And during like Nations League, right? So things like that are happening, and they're going to notice Charlotte is a part of that, and so I think that's also going to just be good. That's the highlight of this season in terms of just like it's created an environment that is going to be able to move forward. And the times he gets to lead it.
The fact that you guys are going to have a player playing in the World Cup next to one of the best strikers in the world is going to do Charlotte wonders. You guys are already on the map based on what you guys have done this season, but having a player year 1 in your expansion year play alongside Robert Lewandowski, that's huge, man.
Yeah.
It is awesome. When we first talked, right, Cucho was really hot. That was the guy that we were worried about going into that game, right? So things have changed since then. But who would you say, if it falls down to one player for Columbus who's going to make the difference and pull something out for you guys this week, tomorrow, who would it be?
So Cucho, when we had spoke previously, he had 8 goals in his first 8 games, something.
I don't
like
know.
that.
You were hyping him up pretty hard.
What's that?
Just saying. I said you was hyping him up pretty hard. I just saying.
I was, man, and 8 goals in 8 games. Of course I am. Like, that was unprecedented in this league for a new player. Like, he was phenomenal, and now he has 1 goal in his last 6 starts. I think that just comes with, it was not necessarily beginner's luck, but he came in. Nobody really knew how to play against him. Him and Lucas Zelarayan just hit it off. They were a great partnership, and now teams have started to figure Cucho out a little bit. And so I think it's going to take Cucho just getting back to the basics and just making those good runs and reestablishing his dominance, playing against different back lines. But one player that I think that the Columbus Crew need to step up this weekend, I've been really high on Kevin Molino. Kevin Molino has come back from an ACL injury, his second ACL injury to this knee, and he's just started to get healthy. Unfortunately, he's probably going to start on the bench in this game to Derek Etienne Jr. Derek Etienne Jr. just netted a brace against his ex-team, the New York Red Bulls. He's having a record year, 8 goals and 5 assists. That is his best season by far in MLS. And I think Derek Etienne Jr. is going to be our player to watch in this match. If not Derek Etienne Jr., our other winger, our burner down the right side, Luis Diaz.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Thanks. And then for Charlotte's sake, I'll ask this to both Lee and Brian. Who do you guys think? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to all of us. The player that if it comes down to is going to be the guy that makes the difference. There's only one name I can think of.
Go ahead, Brian.
That'd be Karol Swiderski.
100%,
I do think, and I said this earlier in the show, I do think what was impressive about the Philadelphia win was that it wasn't just Karol who really showed up. It was so many different players that honestly played better. I think that was in my opinion, one of Karol's weaker performances. He missed a lot of open passes, even on the first goal. Bronico was wide open on the right and screaming for the ball, and he put the wrong ball in to Uzviak. Uzviak was able to make something of it, and we got a goal. But I think this game, it's about Karol being the captain, right? Zoran again said it on the radio today. He's our captain. He's not going anywhere. He's with the team. He's our leader. Let's go, right? I mean, that's pretty much the message. And
I definitely think it's him, and I think he proved it in that Chicago Fire game, right?
Yeah.
First of all, he missed a sitter in that first half, right?
He was pissed.
And then he came back and scored a brace, and you saw the technicality in that final goal that got us that win and got us over the line. I mean, if we're going to count on a player to make the difference for Charlotte, and who has to be fair, is Karol Swiderski, right? And so even though I feel like his style or his intensity sometimes is a little too much, but the reality is we need that. We need a player that holds his standard up there, right? And so we're excited for this match. It's really, really exciting for there to be 2 games left and for us to still have a possibility. And I think you feel it in and around the club. You feel it from the fans. You feel it from us. You feel it from the city as well, And so, that's why the team was backed so well this weekend with 43,000 people. And I think tomorrow the fans are going to come and they're going to get behind these players like they have all season, but it will be like no other, right? Because they know this is Charlotte FC's playoff game right here, last home game right before we go and play Red Bulls. And so with that being said, boys, we'll do some score predictions. Blake, you look so excited to do this, man.
Oh, I love it every time, man.
Nice. So I'll start off with my man, Brian. Brian, what are we thinking?
So I think, and Blake touched on it earlier. Columbus has started off slow, right? They kind of wait till the 80th minute. Charlotte, at least of late, have definitely not been, and that's not been our style. It's not been when we're at our best. I think Charlotte comes out, scores an early goal, goes into half 1-0, finishes the job off 2-0.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Any particular player to score?
Carroll for sure. And I'm going to give a goal to Gaines as well because it looks like he's going to be getting the start because he's got to get the start. He's been on fire. He only produces goal contributions now after how he started, how everybody's like, he just never gets the final pass. That's all he does now, right? He's got 4 assists and a goal in 4 games. So, I think he's on the board for sure.
100%. My man Lee.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, bro? I mean,
I think it's going to be like a basketball game, man. It's 75 minutes. It's just going to be up and down the field. It's going to be gritty in the middle. But I just think it's going to be a hell of a sprint both ways, man. And I think Charlotte's going to win 3-1. I see Carroll getting 2, and I'm going to throw the third one to, let's say Bronico gets his home goal.
Nice.
He's been shooting more, so I feel like he's going to go in.
Nice. My man Blake, what are we thinking? What can the crew come and do at the bank this week? I keep saying this weekend, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Wednesday.
This is a tough one. I think we don't have to win this game, like I said, but I think it is as close to a must-win as we can possibly have. And I think we're going to get that feel from this Columbus Crew side. If we do lose this game and we don't end up making the playoffs, I think that's the end of Caleb Porter. And with it being the end of Caleb Porter, I think that's probably the end of Darlington Nagbe for the Columbus Crew as well. You guys remember that one for later. So I think that the Columbus Crew are going to come out. I don't think they want that to happen, obviously. I think the Columbus Crew win this match 2-1. Yes, 2-1 Columbus Crew, not Charlotte, guys. You heard it.
Nice. I love it.
Man, he flipped on us. What the hell, Blake?
Listen, bro, he's backing his team. I love that, man. His team is coming into a very, very, and this is what I love about our city too. And I think as our team progresses and gets better too, a lot. Right now, I feel like if you ask anybody, Charlotte's probably a team they don't want to play. It's just a very, even the best teams, you saw it this weekend, it's a very uncomfortable team to play.
You guys are playing with house money.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You have nothing to lose.
100%. We've got nothing to lose. We've got everything to gain. And I think we turn it up. I think it's going to be a slightly nervy game because of what's out here to be played. But I definitely see Charlotte FC winning this game 1-0. And I think it's going to come from an unsung hero, right? I think it'll be somebody. I think it'll be like Walks scores a header, or I don't know, it bounces off of him and it goes in, and we win 1-0, right? And with that, I think if we get over the line in this game, we go into decision day, right, with an opportunity to make a playoff, and that is. It's unreal going into tomorrow, but I think even going into to the last game of the season with an opportunity. I mean, through the adversity that this team has gone through, I mean, to me, like you said, Blake, and I feel 100% the same way you have, and I said that on MLS Spaces last week as well. In my opinion, with everything that this club has gone through, to still be in it is such a success, right? But even when saying that, tomorrow, Charlotte FC take a W, do or die, and we will definitely do. Nice.
Yeah, I think the first half is going to be a wash, man, right? It's just going to be everybody kind of getting the legs ready, and then that second half is just going to be NBA style.
Jan bicycle kick. There it is. Jan Krasinski.
That'd be some shit.
Kick out of nowhere.
Yeah, all right, James, if that happens, man, I'll buy you dinner.
Nice. With that said, Brian, my man, where can we find you?
Yeah, y'all can find me on Twitter at Bam Mauer Media. And you can also find my articles at topbin90.com. I just posted one today on why Derek Jones has been an important part of the midfield and kind of an unsung hero of our last stretch of games. So go check it out.
100%. And that article was so good that Derek Jones himself retweeted it, right?
Self-promoted.
Love that.
Yeah. If a player retweets an article written about them, something good was said in there, right?
Hell yeah.
Lee, my man, You go from. Tell us where we can find you at.
All the social COTFC Fan TV. We dropped our fan reactions today for the Philadelphia game on our YouTube channel. There was a marriage proposal. If anybody wants us to officiate a wedding, we're taking that for the off season. But yeah, just all we ask is you go over and hit the sub button for us, and we'll be live Thursday on our show, and we'll discuss the Columbus game and touch on this.
100%. I mean, listen, I don't know what other fan TV you're gonna watch where you're gonna see people proposing.
That was awesome, by the way. That was so freaking cool, man. All the fans got behind it. They started chanting like,
yeah,
that's every soccer fan's proposal dream. I'm pretty sure. Like, if that's how you're gonna do it, that's how you got to do it right there.
On Fan TV, you're right.
On Charlotte Fan TV.
That's right. And Tyler, I'm gonna say no to you, buddy.
Nice. And then my man Blake, where can we find you at, my man?
Yeah, so on social, you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and maybe even TikTok. Got some interesting TikToks on there, but at MLS Gone Wild on all those social media sites. And then search MLS Gone Wild anywhere where you guys listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, whatever other apps that you guys use to listen to podcasts. I'm dropping one bright and early tomorrow because the guy I interviewed, Bryce Duke, has an important game tomorrow evening at 8 p.m., an hour after the Crew vs. Charlotte kickoff. It was a really good interview, a lot of good insight. He transferred from LAFC to Miami this season, and he just got named to the 22 under 22 initiative list, just like my boy Ben Bender did. So, yeah, go check out that podcast tomorrow.
What number he wears?
Who's that?
Duke.
22.
Yeah.
Whole lot of 22s, man.
It is. Whole lot of 22s, man. And I got to say, bro, Blake's been on the show now 3 times, and there's a reason. I mean, this guy is one of the best people to have because of his knowledge, how hard you work, and a lot of the great interviews you do, man. Listen, Top Bin 90, MLS Corner, we try to bring the best, right? And even though he said, listen, I got a busy schedule, I'm interviewing everybody, he still made time for us tonight, which I really appreciate, Blake, So thank you so much for coming on, man. We really don't just say that to blow your smoke. We really believe that. We really appreciate and value your words.
Yeah, no, of course, guys. I really appreciate you guys always inviting me on. 3rd time's the charm, right? I'm happy to be on here. This is my 3rd time this year, which is crazy. Did not know you guys heading into the season. Knew Charlotte was getting a team. Didn't know you guys would be covering it the way that you guys do. There's teams that have been in the league 26 years. The Columbus Crew behind me have been covering it for 26 years, been in the league. People aren't covering the Columbus Crew like you guys cover and love Charlotte FC. So, I'm not a Charlotte FC fan, but, I watch you guys. I support all the success that you guys have, and I love watching this club develop, and I love talking to you guys that are knowledgeable and passionate about it. It's always an honor to come on, and I'm down anytime. And I think Brian and I actually got something in the works for 2023.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We got a little collab between MLS Gone Wild and Top Bin 90 coming in the future. So with a lot of great things that we're planning on doing, not only for this year, but for year 2 as well. With that said, guys, thank you so much. We had probably like 50 or 60 people on tonight, which is that gives you an indication on how excited people are going into tomorrow's game. Because I think after 3 losses in a row, we started really rough. I want to say like 10 to 12, and we grew to like 30, something like that. But like it goes to show you when there's excitement around, people want to be around it. People want to be around the heat, and we're definitely bringing it to you week in and week out. With that, guys, thank you so much. Jorge Gonzalez, Top Bin 90. Thank you guys for coming on. This has been another episode of the